Welcome, welcome. Please find a seat. Don't worry, because we have such a packed day and we only have a couple hours here, we're gonna do things in kind of parallel. So I know my team is out and going to start to dismiss tables for lunch. That's totally fine. You don't have to listen to me. So please get up, make a ruckus, go through the line, and then we're going to start to release tables. But be sure, I'm joking there. Please, please pay attention to me. But we also have our keynote coming up in a short while, as well as our main sponsor. And so, yeah, we're going to have to release tables at the same time. We've got 2 hours here, so we're just trying to pack in a lot. Well, let me just start off by. This is amazing. I mean, we're at maybe 135, 138 in total tickets, and I'm not even sure that counts all the volunteers, so round of applause for just... For those that went to last year, I'll get sappy a couple times. Today, with just the pure and awesome power of this many women in one location. And we're not talking with Poland from New York or Albany or even other places in Vermont. Right here in our region, it's awesome. So I get to be the MC. I'm Matt Harrington. I'm the Executive Director of the Chamber of Commerce that helps to put this together with Berkshire Bank. You're going to hear from Berkshire Bank throughout the afternoon. But I'm going to be your MC as we kind of move along and just have a great time. Really, we want you to network, want you to socialize, want you to be inspired, want you to celebrate. And so we encourage you to do that. The agenda for the day, as I said, feel free to grab lunch as we kind of release tables. Bathrooms, if you haven't figured it out, which I think a lot of you have, but they're to your left here. There's a men's on the right and a women's on the left. Please step out if you do need to make a call, or if you're chit-chatting, feel free to step out there or there. The patio is open. I believe the fire is on to warm some of our third spring weather that we have going on. Just so you also know the agenda as we go through it, we're going to we just want to thank the Inn at Manchester. Where's Gabby? Gabby, thank you so much. We're going to have a keynote from Ashley Austin. We're going to hear some more words about kind of what she's done in her past and why we think she's such an awesome keynote for today. We will have the awards presentation. So many of you nominated. We did have a nomination committee, and there are 3 winners sitting among you, and you may not know who they are. So we're going to keep you guessing for the next hour on who that represents. There will be a Young Woman in Leadership Award. There'll be a Woman of the Year Award and a Lifetime Achievement. And then hopefully, if we can keep this pace going, we'll get you back to networking. And of course, you can stay well after 2 o'clock, as long as it's okay with Gabby. And just make sure that you get to connect and meet. So again, we want to give a big round of applause for Berkshire Bank and that team right here. They're sitting right here. So. This just wouldn't be possible without them. It's somewhat of a new model of an event to kind of have a pure presenting sponsor that can support the chamber and our staff and our design to go out and execute. But we love to give them all the praise and all the accolades because we wouldn't be able to do it without them. I remember a couple years ago, Lori and her team were trying to figure out how to connect with the chamber. What could we do together, Matt and Michaela? And I said, we've got this idea we've been kicking around for a couple of years, and we got the bones to it. What do you think about putting together a women's luncheon? And I think it was in that same day that Lori, you said, absolutely, that makes total sense. We've got a new women's initiative we're working on, and that started to come together. Last year we had about 80 women, a few men. I think we've increased the men by 100% from like 2 to 4. So I think that's a win. So thank you, Lori, and thank you to your team for saying yes. That's the biggest thing, and I know some of the event producers around the room here. Sometimes just getting the yes, the go-ahead, the green light empowers us. We also have, what we didn't want to miss out on was other businesses and people that wanted to support, that believed in, yeah, we believe in getting a luncheon together with powerful women, and we want to support you in that. So we didn't want them to feel left out. So we do have our supporting sponsors as well. Just a little token, a little financial token that said, yes, we believe in what you're doing. And those shout outs go to Coggins Auto Group, At Home Senior Care, Green Mountain Academy for Lifelong Learning, the Shire's Young Professionals, Vermont News and Media, which are the publishers of the Bennington Banner and Manchester Journal, Silver Therapeutics, the North Shire Bookstore, VNA and Hospice of Southwest Region, Old Mill Road Publishing, and William C. Devenot, Attorney at Law, back there as well. So thank you all very much for your support. So we also want to thank our vendors as well. We've got some really great gourmet sandwiches. I don't know if anybody does it better than Zoe's up here in Manchester. And so thank you to Zoe's Deli. They've got an assortment of sandwiches and salads up there. So we want to thank them. Also dessert and these beautiful cupcakes from Fancy Pants Cakes. And we want to thank Janica as well for helping us with that. There she is. Give a little wave. The awards, we have some pretty cool awards. I know some of you that came here last year, many of you probably haven't. We've got these flame-like awards from the logo, and we couldn't do it without Tomasi Sports and awards there. So thank you, Tomasi. And then the last two, really want to give a shout out to each one of you. Have these beautiful flowers on your table. This gorgeous arrangement that came up in my truck last night, and the beautiful arrangement back there, that's all by Mary. Mary, will you give you a wave for us? And Mary just started her outfit less than a year ago, joined the chamber immediately. She's, as well as Plant Boutique and Floral Design Studio right there down on Main Street in Bennington. So thank you very much, Mary. And then finally, GNAT. You'll notice that we have a couple cameras here. This will be recorded, and we want to thank Tammy and her team for just, again, jumping at the chance to be able to film this and chronicle it. And so thank you, Tammy, wherever you are. Give me a wave there. Thank you. All right. So now I have to stall because my presenting sponsor is in the line getting sandwiches. So I came up with some jokes, and if she wants to stop me at any time. All right, please put a very warm welcome together for Berkshire Bank's Vermont Regional President, Lori Keeley. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Matt. We're so excited to be here. As Matt mentioned, I am Lori Kiley, Director of Berkshire Bank Foundation and also Berkshire Bank's Regional President for Vermont. I'm excited to join you on behalf of Berkshire Bank today. We're so proud to support the second annual Women's Leadership Luncheon here in Vermont, and I welcome you all here today. As Matt did mention, when he proposed this idea last year, we immediately thought, yes, this is something we want to be part of. At the time, we had a feeling that people, and especially we as women, were ready to get back out and come together and connect and engage with one another again, and we're so pleased that we were right. Last year's event was sold out, as Matt mentioned, and so we sought out a larger venue this year, and this year's event sold out. So it's so great to see all of you here today. For those of you not familiar with Berkshire Bank, just want to point out that we're a 177-year-old purpose-guided, values-driven community bank with financial centers located throughout New York and New England and New York. Our vision is to become a high-performing, leading, socially responsible community bank. And we strive for that every day in everything that we do. We do provide business and consumer banking, mortgage, wealth management, and investment services throughout teams of dedicated bankers. Our DigiTouch approach to banking helps make our services available where, when, and how you would like them delivered, combining both the invaluable human connection and also technology that everyone comes to rely on. This includes our unique My Banker program, which provides personal concierge level service 24/7, and we have our own Beth Molinaro, My Banker for Vermont here today, as well as a whole team from Berkshire Bank. So I just want to thank them all for coming. We have Denise Thompson, Michelle Hunter, Kara Watson, Emily Gabrielle, and Katie Brady, and Beth Molinaro, as I mentioned. So we're excited to be here today. At Berkshire Bank, we believe in building stronger communities, and we believe that that requires a better approach to banking. This concept is the core of our people, our culture, and the work that we do daily. Just last month, we announced that in Q1 2023, our foundation provided nearly $600,000 in philanthropic investments to foster upward economic mobility, racial equity, and enhance opportunities for success in the regions that Berkshire Bank serves. These investments also support our company's Best Community Comeback, which includes a planned $15 million in community contributions by the end of 2024. And at Berkshire Bank, we believe in women's empowerment, leadership, mentorship, and networking. At Berkshire Bank, we have 67% of the workforce is women, 54% of the women are in manager roles, and 42% of them are in executive manager roles. Additionally, we have 4 women board members on our board of directors. Our gender diversity is higher than the industry average, and our Berkshire Bank was named to the 2023 Bloomberg Gender Equality Index just this year. In 2022, and I mentioned this last year, we launched what we call the Center for Women, Wellness, and Wealth, which is a it's offering client-focused events on wellness, financial planning, by partnering with community organizations, specialized experts, and thought leaders. Collectively, the center inspires action to build greater financial stability, alignment, and opportunity for women. Initiatives also include impact conversations, philanthropic coaching and development support, wellness programs, and complementary portfolio reviews offered by Berkshire Bank Wealth Management. There is some information about the Center for Women, Wellness, and Wealth in bags that we'll be handing out as you leave today, with a couple of trinkets in there as well. So we invite you all to connect with us through the program's offerings. We also have a Power of Women employee resource group at the bank. We call it POW, which is a safe space for women, for people who identify as female and their allies to support women in the workplace. This includes programming, mentoring, and coaching. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention we're hiring bankers, growing our presence, and investing back in the communities. Berkshire Bank was recognized among the top 10 of America's most trusted banks in Newsweek magazine's list of America's most trusted companies in 2022. How your bank puts your money and its own resources to work in your community through investments and lending has a direct impact on ensuring a better tomorrow for everyone. This is why we have a slogan called Where You Bank Matters, because it actually does. We're thrilled to be here today to support today's program and uplift women in the Southern Vermont community. We're excited about the award recipients. We congratulate all of you, and we're excited to hear our keynote speaker as well. So thank you again for coming, and enjoy the program. Thanks.
Great, and thank you again, Berkshire Bank. I'm wondering if we are a little bit ahead of schedule, Michaela, if we want to wait a little bit before we get the keynote going so that we can release all the tables. We'll come back with some really great music and, just talk among your table. And we just want to really give a great, strong presence for Ashley and what she has to say. So give us maybe the next 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then we'll get back to the show. Thank you, everybody. All right, we have a couple more people going through the line, but I think we've seen every table get up for lunch, and everybody's had a good amount of food, I'm hoping. All right, so again, as you move through the line, if you could just kind of do it quietly, we're going to call this to order. We have a very special keynote today, and then from that keynote, we'll roll into the awards. And if we get through all that, we'll get you back to networking, I promise. So the keynote, we have Ashley Austin here, and I just want to read a quick little bio of her, and then I know she has some great words of wisdom and inspiration for you all today. As founder and CEO of ALG, a firm specializing in intellectual property, rights management for iconic musicians, entertainers, and artist estates, Ashley brings a fresh approach that is unrivaled in the entertainment industry. Since launching her company in 2013, she has built her professional brand on a philosophy of integrity and an unyielding respect for the artistry. Her client roster, which is maybe some of the reason we asked her to join us here today, her client roster includes legends such as Daryl Hall and John Oates, of course of Hall & Oates, Iggy Pop, Bootsy Collins, the Blues Brothers, and the estates of Sam Cooke, John Belushi, and Dean Martin. During her 20-year career in the music business, she has had the privilege of working with icons including Michael Jackson, The Doors, Janis Joplin, Rick James, and more. The best part about it is you're a Vermont native. So as a Vermont native, she and her husband, Scott, have called Manchester their home for a while, but really started to call it home in 2017 when you moved up here, back up here. She and her sisters, I think many of us know, Kathleen and Nicole, acquired the Northshire Bookstore in 2022, taking over management and operations both here in Manchester and the Saratoga store, and that robust e-commerce store as well, northshire.com. So I'm going to get out of her way, and she's going to come up here. I just want to provide a very, very warm welcome to Ashley Austin.
Hi. You guys aren't intimidating at all. He stole my speech, so basically I have nothing else to say. Can you hear me okay, everyone? All right, good. Music has always been a matter of energy to me, a question of fuel. Sentimental people call it inspiration, but what they really mean is fuel. On some nights, I still believe that a car with the gas needle on empty can run about 50 more miles if you have the right music very loud on the radio. These words by the late, great Hunter S. Thompson have always resonated with me, for music is the driving force in my life and has been for as long as I can remember. It's woven into the fabric of my identity. So I'm here to share some stories and impart the wisdom that I've learned in the last 20 years, while hopefully not boring you to tears over the next 20 minutes. Before I dive into the backstory of how I ended up here today, I would like to take a moment to thank the Southwestern Vermont Chamber of Commerce for having me, and to congratulate this year's award recipients. It's truly an honor to be part of such an incredible event honoring women in leadership. Hunter Thompson also had a few choice words to say about the music business and the executives who dominate it, but they're not exactly appropriate for an afternoon such as this. You see, since its inception, the music business has been dominated by men at the executive level. A recent study revealed that of the CEOs, chairmen, and presidents across 70 major and independent music companies, only 13.9% were reported to be women. I've experienced this firsthand and felt the impact of it in more ways than I can even count. The inclusion of females in positions of power in the music business is changing, but there's still so much work to be done to reach gender equality. Yes, I have experienced misogyny, verbal and emotional abuse, and inappropriate behavior from my colleagues and even some former clients. But being in a leadership role now doesn't mean that all of that just magically disappears. What I've done is built a business where the only people I report to are my clients, and I'm judged solely on the quality of my work. I also vet my clients as much as they vet me to ensure that our relationship will be a long, fruitful, and pleasant one. When I was 10 years old, I had an epiphany. I would move to Los Angeles, although I had never been there. I would work in rock and roll, even though I had no idea in what capacity, and I would make this happen as soon as possible, because that's when my life would truly begin. The road to this magical, epiphany-driven destination has been long and winding, to say the least. I graduated from Burton when I was 16 years old. I finally got myself to California a year later but instead of Los Angeles, I ended up in San Diego, 120 miles south of the City of Angels. My childhood dream felt just out of reach, but I made the best of the situation by finding the most established record label and management company in the area. It was right on the beach in Encinitas, and I called them every day for a month until they agreed to meet with me. The tasks I was assigned as an intern included, but were not limited to, fetching coffee and lunches, dinner reservations, washing cars, watering plants, waxing surfboards, stocking refrigerators, picking up dry cleaning, and sorting M&Ms by color. But I got to work with Brian Zetzer of the Stray Cats, and that seemed to be all the justification I needed. I executed these assignments with a smile glued to my face and to the best of my ability, because ultimately I was going somewhere, and at some point this would all be worth it. The work was about to pay off when a full-time position opened at the company. There were 2 of us interns up for the role, me and a gentleman 8 years my senior. When I wasn't chosen, I was devastated and totally confused. I'd been there longer, worked harder, and the rest of the team even voiced their opinion that I was the appropriate choice for the position. But the only reasoning I was given for being overlooked was that I did not have a college degree. That intern is now president of the company, so I guess they made the right choice in the long run. However, I was pulled aside and informed by the other women in the company that this type of thing happens all the time. This was a boys' club, and I'd have to build up a thicker skin if I was going to survive it. I hadn't the vaguest idea of what that really meant, but I knew I had to be steadfast in proving that my gender, and my age for that matter, should never be a determinant of my suitability for a role. If, in fact, my lack of a diploma was going to hinder my ability to get hired, that needed to be remedied immediately. So I packed up and moved to New York City to finish college. I also landed an internship at Columbia Records, which is part of Sony Music Entertainment, a relationship that would come back around to significantly impact my life and career, for better or for worse, a decade later. More to come on that. My years in Manhattan were spent earning my bachelor's degree at the New School University, interning at record labels in various departments for college credit, and working nights at one of the city's most popular music venues. I was very much a part of the early mid-2000s scene. It was a spectacular time before smartphones and the birth of social media. But while I had built a great community, LA's siren song was still calling to me. I headed west after graduation with the intention of never enduring another East Coast winter again. I touched down in Los Angeles in the spring of 2007. Having been hired to work in the touring department at Creative Artists Agency, one of the leading talent agencies in the world, I felt like I had officially arrived. In reality, I was tucked away in a converted closet with about 10 other entry-level workers. Our only assignment was to enter the data we pulled from deal sheets, which are messy handwritten notes that go back and forth from the agency to artist management and contain the terms of the agreement for the performances. It was up to us to decipher these hieroglyphics and put them into legitimate contract form. One misstep could be detrimental to a major tour. Of course, I had to learn that the hard way. Eventually, I caught the attention of the top female agent in the company and was over the moon when I was promoted to work on her desk. She was a legend and represented artists I personally loved. I was hopeful that she would take me under her wing and show me what it would take to one day be as cool as her. This was not the case. With no training, I was expected to know everything about her world and anticipate all of her needs. There was zero tolerance for mistakes. The hours were grueling, and the anxiety this job induced was affecting my mental and physical health. "Stick it out, this will lead to bigger things," I would chant to myself every time I felt the urge to quit, which was often. She would belittle me regularly, and when she called me an idiot to my face, I decided it was time to move on. I survived the agency world for 9 months before finally throwing in the towel. I say survived because that's really what it felt like there. I even forfeited the 1-year anniversary bonus because I knew I deserved better, and if given the right opportunity with the right people, I would excel. When I walked away, my friends and colleagues looked at me like I was crazy. Some feedback I received was, "You don't just leave a job like this. This is going to set you back. And it doesn't get bigger than CAA, Ashley." But my negative experience left me searching for an environment that empowered and enabled women to thrive and succeed in this business. That's when I found strategic artist management and the woman who would become the mentor I was so desperately seeking. Strategic was a division of frontline management, a conglomerate of management companies under the umbrella of Uber manager Irving Azoff, who represents the Eagles and is arguably one of the most powerful men in music. Our roster included the Dixie Chicks, Miranda Lambert, and 90s rock band Everclear. I was initially hired as the office assistant, but was promoted to day-to-day for Everclear when their manager, who was a rocker chick like me, appointed me to the position one day as I was restocking office supplies. That's how quickly things can change in music. My attention to detail, organization skills, and ability to decipher contracts, thanks to CAA, helped me land my new gig. We spoke at length about my past experience and what I wanted going forward. I was in need of a mentor and wanted to one day be a manager not for emerging artists, but for major acts like her. She shared some of her own experiences working with the Backstreet Boys in their heyday, what she had endured from her employers, and how she grew from that. She's not exactly the sentimental type, but I think she saw a lot of her in me and felt that if she could make my experience a little bit smoother, she would. We became a dynamic team. She taught me her world, and I learned it backwards and forwards. She explained her needs and preferences, and I was quickly able to anticipate them before she even asked. She answered every one of my questions with grace and patience, gave me guidance when I needed it, and always spoke to me respectfully, as if I was her equal. One of the best pieces of advice she gave me was on a day when I had made a colossal mistake. She already knew what had happened, and I was prepared for the worst. But instead of lashing out or firing me, she said, "Do not apologize, because this is a learning experience for you. Own up to it and tell me the truth, because if you don't, I can't help you fix it." I owe her a great deal of gratitude, and I credit her for influencing how I conduct myself in business. She impacted my life in more ways than I can count, because without her, I also never would have entered the world of music estate management. When the recession hit in 2008, there were major layoffs across the music industry. Napster had already found the Achilles heel of a once indestructible business. So at this point, no one was safe from the chopping block, and that included the two of us. An industry veteran who had been through this before, she was already 10 steps ahead. With artists still under contract that were putting out records in the coming months, she needed help and didn't want to lose me. But she couldn't afford the amount I needed to live on. So I collected unemployment. She covered the balance out of her savings, and the two of us managed our artists remotely, holding weekly meetings at Starbucks on Ventura Boulevard in the Valley. She was quietly plotting her next move, but it was clear that wherever she was going, she was bringing me with her, and that's exactly what she did. One day during our meeting, somewhere between my second and third espresso, she blurted out, "Do you want to go work for the Doors?" I replied, "We're both unemployed. There are no jobs, and you're asking me if I want to work with one of the greatest rock bands on the planet? What's the catch?" You see, their manager had a very particular type of personality. But she was accepting a position, and I was invited to join her if I wanted to. I couldn't resist the opportunity to work with artists I truly loved. In addition to the Doors, the company also handled the estates of Janis Joplin, Rick James, Peter Tosh, and Graham Parsons. I was 100% on board, so she carefully outlined a scenario in which I would report directly to her. This situation worked for about a year until it was time for her to move on. I was ready to fly solo. Her era of protecting me had come to an end. Her words, not mine. At this point, I was in love with my job, and I did everything I could to make myself indispensable. My knowledge of our artists became encyclopedic. I was invited into high-level meetings because, rest assured, when it came to our clients, I knew what I was talking about. When I was promoted to manager, I officially became an executive in the music business. I was 25. This was also the year I got engaged to Scott Austin, my now husband of 13 years. I worked closely with the living members of the Doors, Ray Manzarek, Robbie Krieger, and John Densmore, and spent a lot of time with each of them individually on numerous projects. I'm most proud to have been part of their documentary, When You're Strange, a film about the Doors, which was narrated by Johnny Depp and won the Best Long-Form Music Video Grammy in 2010. Seeing my name in the LA Woman 40th Anniversary album reissue, in the end credits of the Live at the Hollywood Bowl film, or in the numerous other live recordings we put out during my time there, still shakes me a little bit. When we signed on to consult Michael Jackson's estate, I was elated. My younger years consisted of torturing my family with horrendous dance moves to Michael's music while donning a fedora and a ski glove. So you can imagine what having access to this artist's inner circle meant to me. There were many boardroom meetings with executives, attorneys, business managers, former managers, estate managers, crisis managers, and me, the only female and at least 30 years junior. Did this mean I had infiltrated the boys' club and actually had a seat at the table? This may sound glamorous, and in my mind, I think I prefer to reflect on my career that way. But the reality was a constant inner struggle between what I was expected to deal with and what I knew was right. I love rock and roll, but I love me more. And no job was worth enduring what I was put through at this time by my employer. Our version of events leading up to the termination of our working relationship differ greatly, but I do know this. I was underestimated in knowledge and resources, and although he threatened legal action upon hearing of my new business, there was absolutely nothing he could do about it. I had finally found my calling in the music world, and losing access to it was extremely difficult for me, both personally and professionally. Estate management is such a niche area of the business, and at that time there was literally no one else doing it. This made me unemployable at my current level. The few job offers I received were demotions in status and pay and would ultimately set my career back 3 to 4 years. Absolutely not. If there's one thing I held firm to during this experience, it was that I, and my unique skill set, must have value somewhere. My company, Artist Legacy Group, was born out of a bona fide emotional breakdown. What I've learned about myself over the years is that sometimes things need to be completely deconstructed in order to create new foundations for stronger pursuits. I needed to go home. I needed my family, I needed the Vermont air to help me regroup, find clarity, and decide on my life's new direction. My sister sat me down after perhaps maybe one too many glasses of wine and asked me if you could do anything in the world, regardless of the barriers to achieve it, what would it be? My truth came pouring out of me. I would start my own business and be a better manager, do things differently, Jerry Maguire style. I had a vague recollection of my life's second great epiphany the next morning, but my sisters were right there at the breakfast table ready to invest in me. Together, we outlined the next 6 months, which I would use to write my business plan. Having a support system like that, who advocate for me unconditionally, both personally and professionally, is a rarity that I do not take for granted. From that day forward, I've never wanted to be in business with anyone else. ALG launched January 1st, 2013, out of the 2-bedroom apartment my husband and I shared in Austin, Texas. I had no clients. What I did have was a solid reputation as someone who was driven and easy to work with. I reached out to every attorney, business manager, and label executive I knew. Most apologized for their inability to assist with my new business because of their pre-existing relationship with my former employer, but congratulated me on my courageous endeavor. A few stood by me, though, and offered guidance whenever I needed it. One of those people was the founder of Elektra Records and the man responsible for signing the doors. He became my mentor and gave me 2 sound pieces of advice. 1, make sure your company name starts with one of the first letters in the alphabet, because bills are paid alphabetically and you want to make sure you get your money. 2, you have a vision for what you want your company to be now, but it will likely look very different in the future. Say yes to anything that feels right for you, and that will set your course. Within the first year, I signed 3 clients, an estate, a brand, and a living legend. Those were Keith Moon of The Who, the New York City nightclub Max's Kansas City, and legendary photographer Mick Rock. I realized quickly that I needed help, someone with skills that would complement my creative capabilities to take this company to the next level. It became clear as I asked for advice on numerous occasions that I happened to be married to the ideal candidate for this position. There's a common saying that behind every great man is a great woman, and vice versa. In my case, my partner stands right beside me, and has done so for the last 8 years that we've worked together. He's taken every one of my crazy ideas and helped me make them a reality, starting with our joint venture with Sony Music Entertainment. That deal brought us to Manhattan and lasted for a little over 2 years. In that time, we expanded our services beyond estates to include brands and living legends as well. We signed Dean Martin, the Rocky Horror Picture Show, Iggy Pop, Foreigner, John Coltrane, and Bill Haley. And we were in consideration to represent Whitney Houston, NSYNC, and Prince. On paper, the relationship was symbiotic, but the reality was a very different story. When we consciously uncoupled from Sony in 2017, the same instinct I had when I left the doors kicked in. Now that I had my company back, it was time to go home and rebuild. I've never questioned our decision to build a life in Vermont, especially when in the 5 years since we've moved to Manchester, ALG has grown exponentially. We welcomed Hall & Oates, Sam Cooke, John Belushi, the Blues Brothers, Bootsy Collins, and the incomparable Jonathan Goldsmith, among others, to our roster. During this time, I also became a mom. I believe in simple twists of fate, and there have been a number of relationships and events that have altered the course of my life. When Clark French asked Scott and I to lunch in August of last year to discuss his transition out of the Northshire bookstore, all I could hear after that meeting was my mentor's advice of say yes to anything that feels right, ringing in my ears. I knew this was an opportunity my sisters and I could not and should not pass up. This community means everything to us, and for me, over the last 30 years, that building has given me exactly what I needed, exactly when I needed it. When I was younger, it provided me with the soundtrack of my life, since it was the only store in a 30-mile radius that stole music. And it still is. As I got older, I would stock my shelves with the artist biographies and vinyl I purchased there. It's so much more than a store. It's the physical and cultural center of our community, and my family is committed to collectively preserving its legacy. You see, I've never considered what I do to be a job. It's a privilege, and that's something I still believe to this day. But I didn't get here by myself. I've been fortunate enough to have a great support system over the years and do what I can to pay that forward in whatever way possible, whether it's engaging with young men and women eager to break into the music business, taking on high school and college interns, or appearing as a guest speaker for BBA's entrepreneurship class. Manifesting your destiny is possible. I'm living proof of that, and I'm incredibly fortunate to really love what I do. If my opinion on that ever changes, maybe it will be time to do something else. But until then, thank you.
Keep it going for Ashley. Great job, Ashley. All right. So now we're coming to somewhat of the conclusion of the luncheon, although we encourage you to network and connect while we wrap up, but we still have one great, and I'm just like secretly trying to pull out the awards here while I do this. Oftentimes we say, this is my favorite part of the night, my favorite part of the afternoon, the awards, except every time we've had a favorite part, whether that be the great food, the connection that we saw at each of the tables, Ashley's great keynote. So it's hard for me to say that this is my favorite part, but it is one of the most important parts. And it is about celebration and honoring and recognizing. And if you know me and you know the Chamber of Commerce and my staff, we're big on celebration, we're big on recognition. We think it's vital and it's important, and we don't do enough of it. We don't do enough of it in the current state of affairs, and so we just, I think, my team and I and our board wanted to provide all of you with an afternoon to say, let your hair down, enjoy, have a good time. The world may be falling apart around us, but at least we can have a luncheon and celebrate one another. And so we think that that's huge and important. And so with that, all of you are winners. However, there are 3 distinct winners among you here this afternoon. So I'm going to read through the awards. They're going to come up. They know who they are. They're going to receive their award. We're going to have a photo taken. Lori, I'm going to ask you to come up when we have those photos taken. And then they're going to give a short, brief thank you. These award recipients were nominated by their peers, many of you, and a committee of staff, board members, community organizations, and stakeholders came together based on those nominations and made the final unanimous vote. So it was vitally important that we left that committee meeting by saying, we all, I can't remember, raise your hand if you were on the committee. John, I see Shannon, Kaya, past winners were on that as well. So we all agreed that we needed to come down with a unanimous vote and a decision. So the first up, young woman in leadership. This is presented to a young woman between the ages of 21 and 40 for outstanding leadership and service, and is seen by her peers as a woman on the rise. I've grown to know this young woman over the years, and I am constantly impressed with her professionalism, intelligence, her street smart, and her personableness and her compassion. I've had the chance to watch her grow in her role at the company as well as our community, charged with helping her company reach out and impact the community at large. She has literally taken this role by the horns, and from that we've received a wealth of community events, promotion, and volunteerism from her. It is no surprise to me, and soon to you, that she has broken the record for the amount of nominations I've ever seen in the history of the Chamber of Commerce for an award ceremony. So this person was nominated more than any other that I've seen in the 7 years that I've been here. So that alone, I think, is a testimony to the people that love her, the heart and love that she shows for the community, and how infectious she is when you're around her. And so we're so honored to have her nominated that way. I want to read a couple of those comments just because I think they're so impactful, and I think they'll ring true to what this award is about. Quote, I've had the experience of working with her in various committees, and she energizes everyone with her enthusiasm and gets projects done. She's a strong mother, woman, and friend. She goes above and beyond no matter what she is doing. She is a great leader and a role model for everyone that passes her path. She works incredibly hard and is always willing to help and teach her skill any way that she can. And finally, one example of her commitment and value to this community and organization is our Coggins Trunk or Treat. She brings together our community and local volunteers to put on what I think is one of the best events for this community. She organizes all the displays, the volunteers, the vendors, and if you've been there, she really does, and makes the event all come together for the children and people in our community and surrounding areas. I heard a count of over 2,000 people who enjoyed this event this past Halloween. She continues to grow our organization and community for the best. So, Val, although you may be a young woman in leadership, I'm still not going to put a sticker on my car that says Coggins. However, I want to congratulate you, my friend. Come on up, Val Harrington being named the 2023 Young Woman in Leadership. And so everybody can see that really nifty award here.
Oh, beautiful. Oh boy. Okay. Let's set this back here. Okay, hello. This is a little nerve-wracking. So first I would like to start off with a huge thank you to everybody who nominated me and voted for me. I feel honored to receive this recognition today. Though compliments make me feel very uncomfortable, and I have a pretty serious case of imposter syndrome, and the one thing that motivates me more than my children is my exceptional fear of failure. So I can confidently say winging it and figuring it out as I go has worked out so far for me, paired with the guidance and support I've received from wonderful mentors like Mike Coggins himself, the 2022 Woman of the Year, Sue Plaisance, back there, and Brooke Duffy with VNA and Hospice. They've really taken me in and shown me the ropes to marketing, networking, and event planning. You know, I was a punk kid. I didn't make very good decisions, sorry Mom. And I dropped out of college, and I was really a lost soul in this world until about 2016 when I was given a second chance to make something of myself. I met my husband, Seth, in the automotive industry, and that's ultimately what brought me to Bennington. He's a Bennington boy. So, you know, I love working and living in this community, raising our family here, networking and making the connections, being a part of a growing community and economy, and doing what I can do to make a positive impact on the society that our babies are growing up in. I've met so many wonderful and inspiring people over the last few years, which has inspired and motivated me to grow and learn and do more. So Seth and I, we both work at Coggins, and his position requires more of his time to physically be at the dealership, where what I do gives me more flexibility to, you know, work wherever, whenever. So I am the first in line parent to our 4 children under the age of 10. There was a time not long ago where I was feeling very overwhelmed. I was burnt out, not myself. I was worried that I wasn't doing well. I just wasn't myself. I was talking to my GM, Scott O'Connell, and I'm telling him, I'm worried, I'm not doing well, I'm letting the company down, I'm letting you down. I felt like a failure at work and at home. And the first thing he said to me is, there's no crying in the car business. And then the second thing he said to me was the only way I could let him down is if I wasn't there to be a mother to our children. And I feel very fortunate to work for a company who sees me as a person and as a mother first, rather than an employee number. I've never really worn a compass in my life. I have goals and ideas, rough timelines, but when a new idea or opportunity comes up that seems scary or over my head, or that I don't already have the ability to accomplish it, I lunge towards it every time. I've learned that those uncomfortable feelings and the overwhelming and overcoming those negative inner dialogues have led me to achieve great things and prove to myself just what I'm capable of. I'm honored to be recognized today, and there's so many other well-deserving women in this room and in the community, and I'm so excited to see what you all accomplish for the years to come. So, thank you.
Okay, maybe this is my favorite part. I'm just so inspired, and you know, I mentioned at each luncheon, you know, I was raised somewhat by a single mother and an entrepreneurial mother, a mother that started her own business for 30 years and ran it. And so sometimes people go, why, you know, you're a guy, you're an executive director, why are you putting on a women's luncheon? And so, you know, I just grew up with 2 sisters and then 3 half-sisters. It was a very complicated family. But I was just surrounded by very strong women my whole life. And so, you know, each one of you, I can just see just having this magnetism about you. And so, Val, just really, really great. Thank you. Next up, we have Woman of the Year. This is presented to a woman in 2023 for her outstanding leadership and service to her organization, community, and career. This category, I think, was the hardest for the committee to kind of decide on, and that's no surprise. With over 130 women here, you're all Women of the Year, and this was very hard for the committee. However, one had to be named. This individual has become synonymous with her community and the help she and her husband offer continually. Whether running multiple community anchor businesses, providing the community with fantastic food, great coffee, lovely cocktails, live music, art, locally grown food, groceries, artisan products, and community gathering space. Or they're hosting events like the Village Block Party, where she offers up free burgers and hot dogs for the whole crowd, and it's like hundreds of burgers and hot dogs. She is a symbol of community heart. From weekly seasonal music series to pop-ups for entrepreneurs, where local chefs get to access the commercial kitchen and neighbors get to taste new chef-driven creative meals every week, This woman continues to grow and expand what community looks like. One area of focus that she's focused on over the last few years is equality. And I'll just make one note around the equality thing that she has vocalized in the past. She's shifted even to equality in her wine list. And so that a lot of her wine list and presentations and events have focused on different and diverse winemakers, including women. She's most proud of the work she has done with the culinary program at Mount Anthony Union High School and seeing interns and young chefs pursue their dreams after getting foundational experience at her company really makes her feel great. Here's what she says about community: a community that supports each other and is not afraid of the hard work, but also knows how to enjoy the beauty in the slowness of the world too. It's with great pleasure we name Lenny DuPont DeSorda as the Woman of the Year for 2023. Come on up, Lenny. You are as well, and we're going to have Lori come up again, and we'll do some official photos, and then you can.
Val wasn't kidding about this being intimidating. Hi. I have to say, I feel like I walked in here cosplaying being an adult today. So just to give you an idea of where my headspace is at. But I want to thank the members of the Chamber for this honor. I think as women who work as hard as we do, I think we have a tendency a lot of the time to kind of put our heads down, push through the challenges, go, 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 do what we can for everyone in our lives. So to be able to come up for air for a recognition like this I'm really grateful for that, so thank you. Secondly, there's not a single success that I've had in my life without the full support of an intricate and intimate network of women for me. Starting with my matriarchs, starting with my dearest friends, to my staff, my colleagues, and my contemporaries here today. There's no success as a woman in this world without the unwavering, sometimes critical, sometimes tough love, often die-hard, warm, and true support of women. And I attribute, honestly, the best parts of myself to these networks that I have the pleasure of having the support of. Third, Val, she mentioned imposter syndrome. I know that often dogs women in positions like mine, mothers, business owners, somehow the person in charge of things and lots of people. I swear I'm still like a 17-year-old, just messing up all the time, but I have to make the decisions and we have to make hard decisions. And I think it's easy to latch on to the doubts of perceived failures. And time and again, though, we get up, we dust ourselves off, and we continue the charge despite. A recognition like this can be a small or a big light in a dark cave, and I want to bottle that feeling and give that to every woman I know, and to remind them to give that light to themselves every day, because we are here, and although it may feel like it, we're not faking it till we make it, we are making it. We're making it work, we're making do with what we've got, we're making sure we get more for ourselves and for our families and for our community members. We are making the best of it, we're making things better, we're making it happen every day, we're making magic. And I'm so grateful to be a part of a community that allows me to show up as I am, to do what I love, and to recognize the hard work and beauty in all of that. I kind of tripped into doing what I do. I graduated from Bennington College and had full intentions of moving to New York City and becoming a starving artist and doing all that jazz. And I got really heart-tied to North Bennington and fell in love with, the business that I got to be a part of. And so being in a position of power now with Pangea Restaurant, Prospect Coffee House, Powers Market, I feel it is my duty to continually give back to that community to create equity within my businesses, and I'm feel really privileged to have the opportunity to do that and to have the recognition from you all. So thank you so much.
Great. All right, and then the last award, our Lifetime Achievement Award. This is presented to a woman who, throughout her lifetime, has made outstanding business leadership contributions to her community while inspiring other women through mentorship and support. You cannot think about Manchester or this region without thinking about the direct impact this woman has had on it. Our region has become a destination throughout the Northeast and the world because of what she, along with her husband, has done. However, it didn't start that way, and I learned this. I did a little reconnaissance. It didn't start that way. Her educational background was in the study of psychology, sociology, and human behavior. She would remark that it's what led her to a career of opportunities, including clinical social work, the hospitality field, and marketing in real estate and retail. I think we would all agree, once I name this person, her ability to connect with people has been the hallmark of her career and the impact on this region. As a couple originally hailing from New York City, she and her husband discovered the majestic beauty, unparalleled lifestyle, and joyous sense of close-knit community in Manchester in 1979. Soon after their arrival, they enjoyed becoming integral members and investors in the success of the town that became their home. With her husband, she opened their very first building in the summer of 1985. From small beginnings, she would grow over the next 4 decades a truly authentic street boutique shopping experience that is second to none in the Northeast, with many in the global industry calling their development a legacy center, a moniker of which she is very proud. Serving as the sole developer, owner, and manager of Manchester Designer Outlets for over 30 years, her family-run business has always prided itself on not only offering customers a one-of-a-kind shopping experience with unmatched collection of brands, but also on working hard alongside their tenants, committed to partnerships to ensure their success. It is with great honor and regard that we present the Lifetime Achievement Award in 2023 to Lana Halvin.
Well, I just can think of 2 people now, my mother and my husband. When I was a little girl, growing up in Brooklyn, New York, to an immigrant family with very little money, I had a mother that did everything. She cooked, she baked. If I needed clothes, she sewed them. If we needed furniture upholstered, she did that too. She just did everything. Nowadays, if a woman has 1 or 2 children, they are just going out of their mind how to fit it all in. But in those days, women really had very, very little choice. I had 6 brothers and sisters, and I was the baby. And they called me baby till I was 20 years old. I had no responsibility whatsoever. But at the age of 20, my mother and father died. Then I lost the rest of my family. When I was 11 years old, my sister wrote in my autograph book at graduation, "Don't wait for your ship to come in. Roll out and meet it." Years later, I met a man who turned out to be the love of my life and my mentor, who said, "Nothing happens unless you make it happen." There were signs all over his office. So for me, work has been my life. My first job was when I was 15 years old. at Metropolitan Life Insurance, part-time during school hours. And then life went on, and one day Ben Halvin walked into my office in New York City, and the rest is kind of history. We came here, honestly, two sophisticated people, very, very innocent, about coming to a small town and bringing them this amazing shopping experience, completely unaware that there were people that didn't want Manchester to change. People didn't want a New York City couple to come in here and change their town and bring anything new to it at that time and at that particular time in history. But Ben saw something that no one else saw. He saw that Manchester and Vermont was not only beautiful, pure air, crystal clear water, perennials and trees and everything here, but that people wanted to experience that, and working in New York City, you really never did. And one day, as everyone mostly knows, he just came to me. He looked up east of Depot Street and somehow saw what we now have. And he said, I want to put designer stores that would make shopping affordable for people in this town. Can you help me? I must tell you, I knew absolutely nothing about retail. I didn't know anything about business, really. I didn't have the moxie then that maybe you had and others. But I went from Maine to California looking for interesting retailers, and then went to the New York City Garment Center and talked to owners and presidents and people who were in that business. And I said, well, we're trying to do something very special. Will you help us? Will you open up a store with us? And at that time, manufacturers were not in the retail business. And as you mostly know, outlets started because a factory had returns and they had damages, and they put a little barn in next to their facility, and people would come in and buy bargains. And I guess we just brought this to the hilt by bringing in Giorgio Armani and Ralph Lauren and major retailers like this. How I did it, I didn't know, but I would do anything for Ben Halvin, and he needed this kind of response from the manufacturing community. As time went on, we had two write-ups in the New York Times, in the Boston Globe, in California papers, that in this little town something was happening, something exciting and amazing. During the course of things, I know you other women talked about the people you had to deal with, and I myself was chased around the Xerox machine many times, so I know what you're talking about. But I think that all I can say is this. When Ben died, a week later, I came to the office, sat in his seat and said, what in the world am I going to do now? But I want to impart to you, ladies, and many of you know this now, we've got a lot of stuff. Just a lot of stuff being a woman, a lot of experience in dealing with the vicissitudes of life, as Freud would say. And somehow or other, you get up every single day, you comb your hair, you put on your makeup, and you go and fight the fights. And in the process of that, you become a person that you didn't even know existed. But I could say this much. If you need help, if you come up with an idea and you're not sure whether it will work, call one of your friends. Call Carolyn Blitz. Call Lana Halvin. Call any of the other women that have been successful in the business. It is normal to get this feeling that you're too dumb, you're too stupid, you can't figure it out, but you can. You have it in you, you just need somebody to hold your hand once in a while. And I would strongly recommend this. There are a lot of amazing people in this town. And I am so gratified to look around and see the women sitting in this room, the amazing things you've done. And I hope that God gives me time to see more of that in this wonderful town. And thank you so much to everyone.
Lana and I got to spend some time at the New York Times travel show some years ago. Me, John, we were all there. It was fun. It was fun. All right, we are going to wrap up the kind of the formal part of this afternoon. We continue, please continue to network. Maybe step outside if you want to. A beautiful fire is lit. Some lemonade and water looks like what's left. You guys have really cleaned up for the food, which I appreciate. Some final notes of thank you, and then we'll depart. Again, our host, the Inn at Manchester, and Berta's here. Some have asked why didn't we go back to the Wilson House. Well, one, you're having major construction going on.
We are.
Yeah. Well, that's good. But during the time when we first approached Berta for this year, we said, what do you think? And she goes, I don't know, Matt. I mean, and then I think we went out to lunch a month later and you said, the whole place is dug up. I wouldn't come back here. But also, we knew that we had size issues. We had a waiting list of about 25 women last year or more that wanted to get into the 80-person party. Well, you guys have really done a heck of a job. We've had 60% more attendees here this year than we did last year, and we plan to grow it again. So we appreciate Berta offering that first inaugural year, and we appreciate Gabby over there for the Inn at Manchester and the Celebration Barn. Thank you again for opening that to us. Once again, our presenting sponsor, Berkshire Bank, and our supporting sponsors and supporting vendors, thank you all very much for making this happen here today. Also, a shout out to our volunteers. If you were here the last couple days or this today as well, just raise up your hand a little bit. There are only a few, but thank you very much for what you did. It's true, but behind every strong man, there's a stronger woman, right? And see what I did there? Stronger. Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah. I couldn't do this without our event manager, Michaela Lewis, right out there in the back. We were down a staff person. Unfortunately, Erica had to go to Hawaii, so we're all feeling very sorry for her today. But it was just Michaela and me, and as Michaela knows, like when it comes to event time, I just lift things up and I put things down. Just tell me, point me wherever you want me to do. But Michaela, this is Michaela's mastermind right here. This is everything from the pins to the napkins to biodegradable silverware and food and plates to how we're going to set it all up. That is our beautiful and wonderful Michaela back there. So again, thank you very much, Michaela, making this come true. The last two notes, as you do leave, when you do leave, you don't have to leave just now, but when you do leave, as Lori said, there are Berkshire Bank bags there. They're really cool. They're like canvas, and they're really cool. So make sure you grab a bag when you come out. And also the last one I'll mention, on your tables, we're doing a luncheon again in the fall. This one's going to focus on community leaders and nonprofit leaders. That was very much what we heard from our membership. Could you celebrate nonprofits a little bit more? We don't have our own association or anything, so we joined the chamber and we hope you can promote us. And as we know, our nonprofits throughout the region are just incredible. They make up a lot of the fabric that some of our for-profit members just can't do, and they're a lot of the reason why we exist here and why we call community. But we will be having a luncheon at the Bennington Museum Wednesday, November 8th. Same kind of style. We're going to have, come if you want to. We'll have awards, we'll have keynote, and this one will focus on kind of the servanthood leadership, the community leaders that we want to celebrate. So with that, please enjoy the rest of the afternoon, mix, mingle, network, and thank you all so much for coming out tonight.